welcome once again to Pro Accounting Academy. My name is CPA Imani Kiwewa. You are most welcome for this video. In this video, still we are looking at books of original entry. In the previous video, you saw how I talked about cash books. And we talked about 2-column cash book, 3-column cash book. All those books are books of original entry, or where we initially record our transactions for the first time. Now the question is, under cash book, I told you, we record cash transaction. It will be cash payment, it will be cash sales, or payment made on cash, or payment received from the customer. The question is, what about if you sell goods on credit? Should we also include the same transaction, record the same transaction in our cash book? Of course, no. Cash book only records cash transactions. Now the question is, where should we put our credit transaction? Either you have made sales on credit, customer takes goods today and pays at a later date. The answer is, please, you need to record in what we call sales journal. These are specialized books as well. They only record transactions which are related to that particular book. Let me give you an example. Books we use to record credit transaction, we have sales journal, or some people may call it a sales day book. We have purchases journal. Some people may call it a purchases day book. We may have returns. You may find you have sold goods, as well your customers returning back goods to your business. Where do we record that? We record in what we call returns inwards book, or returns inwards journal. Then we have, even for you as a business, you may buy goods and you take back, because of some reason, you know, there are so many reasons for returning back goods to the supplier. Could be wrong order, maybe they are expired, they are damaged, among other reasons. For such goods being returned back or brought to business or returned back to supplier, please don't just put in the store. Still, there is a special book where we record such transactions, and that is called returns books. So what you need to know here, what is most important with these books? Number one, they record only credit transactions. For sales made on credit, we put in sales journal. For purchases made on credit, we put in purchases journal. Goods returned to the business by customers, we record in returns inwards book, what we call sales returns book. And those goods returned back to supplier or they are recorded in what we call returns outwards journal, or purchases returns book. So we need to master this. There are 4 books and they move together in most cases. Of course, as you sell, some may return. We expect you, as you have sales journal or sales day book, we expect you also to have returns day book. Let's take an example here. On this, look at this. Our journals or journal books. Let's look at this. Which books where you are supposed to record credit transactions? Of course, still they are called the books of original entry. I explained this. Original entry. 1, I talked about sales journal. Sales journal. And this one records credit sales. Only credit sales, please. When you sell your goods on credit, don't look at your cash book, whether it is 2-column cash book, whether it is 3-column cash book. Yes, you may have understood it very well, but please, you must record this in what you call sales day book or sales journal. The credit we are looking at, selling goods today and customer pays at a later date. You record that under sales journal. But you may find that goods being sold to the customers as well, because of some reasons, as I have already told you, are brought back to your business. Maybe for replacement, for compensation, that is maybe taken in the form of a loss. Someone brings back a good and says it is damaged, wrong order, it is expired. Please, don't just throw in your store. You must record in what we call sales returns journal, or some people may call this returns inwards journal. Now, in other words, this one records what? Records goods returned by customers customers to business. Hey, when customers return goods back to your business, please don't also get annoyed and you throw in your store. You must record first in your returns inwards. As well, we have purchases. Purchases journal. And this purchases journal, as you see the sales. Sales, we only record goods sold on credit. For purchases, very simple. Still purchases, we only record there purchases made on credit. Only purchases. Don't record any cash purchase. If it is, you have two purchases. One is made on cash basis, another one is made on credit basis. Please, the one for cash, you go to cash book. The one for credit, you bring to our purchases journal. As well, you may reach your business and you find some of the goods are damaged, wrong order, or any other reason, and you choose as a business to return back to the supplier. Please, we need to record that in what we call returns outwards journal, or some people may call it purchases returns book. Now you look at this. I'm grouping our books into two categories. One, when you look at sales journal moves with sales returns. Purchases journal moves with returns outwards. So as we are preparing books, in most cases, we group sales journal, we expect to have sales journal and returns outward, returns inwards. Purchases journal with returns outwards. If they bring you a question and you are required to, maybe they can give you a question which has sales transactions, maybe it's transactions made on credit, maybe sales made on credit, then purchases made on credit, then they mix with cash sales, they mix with purchases made on cash and credit. Please, we expect you to separate our books. Pick information which is supposed to go to sales journal, and that is credit sale. Put information for purchases journal, that is credit purchase. The returns to supplier return outwards, you record under returns outwards journal, and the ones returned by customers to the business, put under returns inwards journal. I think you can see now how we are moving right from the cash book to these books, or we're going to where we record credit transactions. The question is, how do we record it there? Yes, we have understood what these books are and we have seen the record credit transactions. The question is, how do we record it there? Before I take you to that, what you need to know, this one is not like a cash book. Cash book, we had debit side and credit side, and I was telling you, when you are receiving cash, you put on debit side. When you are receiving paying, you put on credit. This one, you don't have cash debit side and we don't have credit side. We have a format where we are putting all our credit sales there, where we are putting all our credit purchases there as one, because they are items or transactions of the same nature. So we just record and we get to it. Then we move. Let's take a look at how our format look like for sales journal and returns inwards journal. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at how our format look like. The format for sales journal and the format for returns inwards journal. It's a simple format. It's not complicated like other books like a 3-column cash book or petty cash. This is direct. So long as you have the date column where you're going to record the date at which the transaction took place. Details. Here the details, you have to be so careful. Take an example. When you sell goods on credit to a customer, you as a business need to know which customer is this. You must be interested in the name of that customer. Where possible, you can even take the address, the contact, all you gather and record the other details, which is not the case with our cash book. For cash books, when you make transaction or when you sell goods on cash, so long as someone pays, you may not even know his name, you may not even know his telephone number. But for this, since the customer did not pay, we are interested to know the details. Could be name, his number, personal address, where does he stay? All that information must be gathered and recorded under our details column. For reference, as I explained in the previous video, then amount. Your goods were sold at how much? You capture that as it appears on the invoice, then you record in our amount column. For sales journal, format for returns inwards journal, they are not different, the same. Even when you cross to purchases journal and returns outwards, the same format. In other words, simple format. Having seen this, I think we can take a look at our example. Let's take a look at this example. The following transactions, when you look at this, took place in Diaka's business during the month of July 2025. For these transactions, we are going to go one by one. My interest here is under required. Required. Record the above transactions in the appropriate journal books. Of course, here they are putting sales journal and returns inwards journal. So when you look at this question, it means that information which is here is mixed up. They have not told you which information to be recorded in sales journal, which information you should put in returns inwards journal. So it's upon you to know what is supposed to be recorded in sales journal, what is supposed to be recorded in returns inwards journal. Don't forget, I said sales journal records credit sales. Credit sales. Only and only credit what? Sales. Then returns records returns or goods returned by customers to business when customers bring back. So as you are reading your transactions here, you need to know if it is credit sale, you sold good on credit customer, we are going to take to our sales journal. If it is a return, maybe customer brought it back to the business, of course you are going to record in our returns inwards journal. Let's start with our first transaction. On 5th July 2025, sold the furniture worth 3,200 on credit. Very important. The moment you see credit, just know that is sales journal. We have to put, the moment that we sold the goods on credit, we have to record that in sales journal, but not in returns. By who? Because we are interested to know the information or the name of this customer. The customer was Hassani Furniture Limited. Even you may capture his telephone number, his maybe other personal address like location of residence, among others. But let's take that. On first, this first, it is on 5th July 2025. Under details, capture any detail given regarding this customer. But when you look at our detail here, it's only Hassan Furniture. Hassan Furniture Limited. If you have even the telephone number, among others, please, you put all the information concerning Hassan. And under amount, of course, it is 3,200. Simple. We don't have to say you have to put on debit side. This doesn't have debit side or credit side like for cash book. Just record, and whoever finds this in your sales journal will know this Hassan bought this good on credit. Then you can go to second transaction here. When you look on second transaction, that is on 10th July 2025, sold electronics on credit to Somtech, Somaliland. Yes, you can bring here for for Hassan furniture, even you can put the item he bought. You can put here. What did he buy? Bought furniture. Then you can close that at that stage. You go on second transaction, that is on 10th July still 2025. Sold the goods to who? That is to Somtech, Somaliland. It's the company, maybe in Somaliland. And Somtech, what did you sell to Somtech? It's very clear here. You sold electronics, but what? On credit. Meaning it is going to our sales journal. So you have to decode electronics here. Electronics. How much was it? When you look at our second transaction there, it is 1,500. Only that. You close that. Nothing is left on this transaction. You go to another transaction on 12th July. Here. On 12th July, sold the closings worth 900 on going to Bilan. You just come here, you record it on 12th. Sold to Bilan, you write the name of the customer. What did you sell? Closings. Closings. How much was it? It was 900. Simple. We are all still putting in our sales journal because all the transactions so far we have looked at, they are credit sales, which are supposed to be recorded in our sales journal. Take a look here. On 15th, you look at this. Hassan Furniture returned furniture worth 400. Now you look at this. At first, you sold, that was on 50th, you sold it to Hassan Furniture. Goods worth 3,200. This is Hassan Furniture on 50th. But after some days, like 10 days, that is on 15th, Hassan returned furniture. Once a customer returns goods, you don't record this in our sales journal, but rather you take to the appropriate book, and that is returns in words journal. Just go to this book now. On 15th July 2025, Hassan Furniture. Returned furniture. How much? 400. Excuse me? 400. I think that transaction is also clear. This shows, of course, you can't take an example. When you buy products from a supermarket, and you reach home and maybe you have bought a bread and you reach home it is, expired. You can't really return to another supermarket. You only return where you bought it from. That's why Hassan bought from us. When it comes to returning still, it's not returning to another business, but it is returning to Jacka's business because that's where you bought. So don't just return to any business. You must return where you bought that product from. That's why here, still Hassan is returning to Jacka business because that's where he had previously bought this product. Good. Let's look on 18th July. Sold the groceries worth 750 on credit to Ali. Groceries to Ali. Since it is a credit sale, we have to record it under our sales journal. Come here and record on 18th July 2025 to Ali. You write the name of the customer. What are you paying? That is groceries. Groceries. You sold the groceries. How much was it? It was 750. Then close that. Whoever find this in sales journal will know that transaction was made on credit. You don't need to add a credit sale or credit. No, you just put the name and the product which were sold. Of course, it will communicate this is a credit sale. Right, let's look on 20th here. So the mobile phone is 20th here. So the mobile phone is worth 2,100 on credit to mobile Somaliland. Yes, still that is transaction must be recorded in our sales journal. Why? Because it is a credit sale. You come here, you record on 20th July 2025. Sorry to mobile, this company, mobile Somaliland. What did you sell? You put the goods you sold. That is mobile what? Mobile phones. How much was it? It was 2,100. Then you close that transaction. Completely recorded. Good. Let's look on 22nd July. Sold office supplies on credit to the office supplies. That is also supposed to be recorded in our sales journal because it is a credit sale direct. So you come here on 22nd, 2025. You are selling to Algeiza office supplies. What are you selling? Office supplies. How much was it? It is 600. And you close that what? Still you close that transaction. Finished. Then when you look on 22nd, it is 25th, sorry, on 25th July, Somtech Somaliland returned electronics worth. The moment you say, they give you returns made by the customer, just know that is supposed to be recorded in returns book. This book, you have to record in returns book. Once you see returns made by customer to the business, you put in returns in what is the journal. So that is very direct. You come to our book here on 25th July 2025. Who is returning? Somtech. Returning, okay, they are returning goods worth 250. Then you close that direct and you take that. Then when you go to another transaction on 27th, Bilan returned closing worth 150. This is our customer Bilan returning goods to the business, meaning we have to record in our returns in what is the journal. You just come here in our returns book on 27th, 2025, Bilan. Of course, we know the goods we sold to Bilan, so she's returning a part of. That's why details are not given. Or even you can go ahead and say closings, no problem. How much? It was 150. Then you close that. You go to our last transaction, that was on 29th of July. Mobile Somaliland returned. The moment you see return made by the customer, still we are recording in our returns inwards. So you come here on 29th, 2025. Who is returning? Which customer? That is Mobile Somaliland. Returning goods, of course, those are mobile phones. How much was it? 300. Yes. When you look at this, we have 100% recorded our transactions, which were made on credit basis. You look at credit sales, we have recorded them in sales journal. Then for returns which were made by the customers to the business, we have recorded in our returns inwards book. You don't stop there. At least you try to get totals. I told you for this one, we are not going to balance it, but rather we are just getting totals. Simple. You just add to get total at the end of the month. How much was it? You just get 400 plus 250 plus 150 plus 300, and you get 1,100. You see now, our returns were worth 1,100. Then for sales, you add the total. Just add the total 900 plus this 750 plus 2100, then plus 600, and your total will be 950 as our total. Now, you look at this. This shows you sold the goods on credit worth 9,050, but the returns were 1,100. Now, if I'm to ask you a question at the end of the month, how much sales did you make? Of course, we shall get our sales, total sales, we subtract the returns to get the net, what we call net sales we made in the business on credit. This is how recording in sales journal and in returns journal becomes so easy. No accounting principle being applied here. Only recording. Capture the details. Capture the date. Capture the details of your customers in terms of name, in terms of telephone number, location, address, among others. You capture the right amount as it appears on the invoice. You record it there. Then you get it at the end of the day. Go do the same in returns inwards. The only trick here is for you to know what is supposed to be recorded in sales inwards book and what is supposed to be recorded in sales journal book. The moment you know that in sales journal we only record credit sales or sales made on credit, then in returns inwards we only record goods being returned by the customers. Our number will become so easy. Then you can make a conclusion that we have recorded or we have managed to handle this number 100% as it is supposed to be done. This is a simple format, and all other so-called complicated one will be built on this. The moment you master this, then recording in our sales journal and returns inwards journal becomes very easy. Thank you so much, but don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends. We are still giving you more videos on accounting, different accounting topics, right from the beginners, intermediate, and advanced ones I'm coming for you. Let's refer our colleagues, our friends on this channel called the Pro Accounting Academy. Just go to YouTube, make a comment for any topic you want me to talk about. I'll come right back and I handle it. Thank you so much. See you again for the next video.